Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second weekly Vodcast for WCTV's executive staff. I almost wanted to call it the first. Technically, last one was number 0.
That's true.
It was like the pilot.
Yeah.
So
I was even on that one. Didn't make
Go ahead.
time.
You were sick.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves again.
All right. I'm David Cross. I'm the news director and YouTube manager at WCTV.
I'm Brennen McCall. I'm the general manager for WCTV.
I'm Shon Mead. I'm your promotions director.
And I'm Matthew Schenkel, the assistant general manager for WCTV.
All right. So as you've heard, everybody here works for WCTV except Shon Mead. Shon Mead works for you.
I work for you. I don't get paid. So I'm serious, so I don't get fined. Yikes. Football, sport ball.
There we go. I was waiting for him to say it.
There you go.
All about them sports.
All right. So one of the things I want to talk about tonight, I brought it up right before we started. YouTube is now blocking monetization on videos. Anybody that talks about anything controversial, swear words, anything that basically their advertisers said, don't put us on anything that's might reflect poorly upon our company because our ad would happen to play in front of it. They're demonetizing videos.
So basically saying, say there's a video about Colin Kaepernick and then somebody throw the ad that plays before it.
Exactly.
Doesn't want to get tied
So like a popular vlogger, which there are tons of people that make a living on YouTube by talking about controversial stuff like this.
Yeah.
And now, so Colin Kaepernick, for example, we're not going to get into a lot of details on that, but say a popular vlogger comes out with their opinion on this, and maybe this is someone that gets 1 million views per video, so they get 1 million views. That's pretty decent chunk of change for monetization, and YouTube can just kind of say, nope, we don't want you talking about that.
That kind of makes sense. Well, it does make a lot of sense because, NFL, if an NFL player, an MLB player, does something controversial or bad for its own image, the advertisers can drop it. But I feel wouldn't it make more sense for advertisers to just say, we don't want to be associated with this kind of a channel or this kind of a person?
That's almost too much work for the people. Hey, throw this ad.
Yeah, because YouTube has been a certain way for years, and those who have made a living off of YouTube have to now change their whole format to tailor that to this new format that YouTube is setting for them.
It's censorship in a form, but I mean, you can't really fight it because it's business.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. It's just business. But you are censoring people, and they're one of the ideas was that there's a check mark. When we upload this video to YouTube, there's a check mark that I can choose that says for mature audiences only.
Okay.
And so the theory is that if we click that check mark, I don't know. We don't post videos like that. I don't know if that.
Yeah.
We also don't. Actually, with some of our game/movie reviews in the entertainment segment, we might do it. I mean, if it's an inappropriate movie, we're not going to show anything like that. But just to be safe,
Batman v Superman, awful movie.
Really?
Awful.
I was forbidden from seeing it.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
Not worth the $10 I spent to see it.
See, it's just, I don't want to go see all these comic book movies anymore.
They're starting to turn out to be the same.
Yeah. I mean, how many come out a year?
Similar plot lines.
10 come out a year, and then there's 3 new series each year. I'm supposed to watch all of these.
Oh yeah, it's so time consuming. Between Netflix series and stuff, they're all canon to one overall storyline, and they expect you to follow it. And,
there's too many different series, and then they're all different with whichever ones come out that are new. So since we've been alive now, since the new the new Captain America.
Yeah.
Now there's been 3 Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
There's been
2 Fantastic Fours.
There's been 2 Fantastic Fours. There's been 2 Batmans.
2 Hulks.
3 if you count the
3
one.
Hulks.
And they're not even going along with that Spider-Man anymore. They had the first 3 Spider-Man, and
Tobey Maguire, the big ones.
And then they made those other 2 with
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, and now they're gonna send those ones off, and now they're gonna make some new ones. So,
which is weird because Sony still has the rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Marvel bought back some of the rights.
Kinda, yeah. They do a shared thing, what Marvel does with Universal with the Hulk, because there can't be a Hulk standalone movie without Universal permission.
Yes.
But the Hulk can be in Thor Ragnarok, for So
Yeah.
he'll be in that.
But there is a standalone Spider-Man movie coming from Marvel.
Yeah.
Did everyone here see both Spider-Man movies?
The Andrew Garfield series and
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire.
No, I meant just.
Both Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Well, I should have asked. Yeah, I assumed you saw the Tobey Maguire. Did everybody here see all of those Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which ones did you like more? Because this is a debate I have with everyone.
I absolutely
And I-
loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
I enjoyed Andrew Garfield as well. I thought he was really good for. And Tobey Maguire, it seemed like he was too old to play the part.
See, I heard that.
Yeah,
I
he
heard
seemed
that from a couple
old.
people. I liked the Tobey Maguire movies better before, but I went back and watched the Andrew Garfield ones a second time. And like they're up there. Like I don't think I can definitively say one was better than the other. Although it's probably like a emotional thing because it was like that was on when we were younger, so it's like a childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was something that I watched a lot as a kid. Those were popular movies because there weren't that many superhero movies now. Because now we have, whatever, 4 or 5 a year, it seems.
Heck, we have
Yeah.
one coming out, I think, in November. So.
Yeah, so, I mean, back then it was just easier to watch the Spider-Man movies because they were popular. People liked them. But now with all the new stuff, I can see what you mean where it's kind of a connection to our childhood.
I just can't watch. Yeah, I just can't justify going to see 9, 10 superhero movies a year.
Ignore me.
Well, whenever
good.
Avengers Age of Ultron came out, I saw that movie 4 times in
I
the
still
course of
haven't
3
seen it.
days. It was so good.
Still
it
have
was
not
pretty
seen
good.
it. What movie did I go see? Star Wars. I went to see Star Wars.
I
Oh.
saw that twice.
Yeah,
Oh.
I had the
that's the only
pre-release
movie.
tickets.
That's the only movie I've ever seen twice.
Just like that.
I think I saw it 3
back to
times
back.
in theaters. Yeah.
It was really good. It was so cool to be sitting in there.
Star Wars.
And it was so cool to be sitting there and see, just like in the theater, and then just watch, like hear the music come up and
Yeah.
the scroll text finally come back down.
I saw the pre-release screening of Star Wars, and there were people like dressed up in costumes and stuff. Like before the film, like these 2 dudes got up and like they're in their robes and stuff like that, and they just like whip out their lightsabers and start dueling each other. I was like, y'all gotta be kidding
It's cool
me.
to see Star Wars coming back in like. It's always been there because it's always been a profitable thing.
Yeah.
It's cool
Yeah.
to see it come back in like full
We
swing.
have
with new
Rogue
movies
One
and
coming
everything.
out here in a few months too, so that's interesting.
I didn't think we expected to go down a Star Wars topic. Here.
I
we did not talk about that.
So when
You
I was
started
younger,
this.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'll
So
talk
when I
about
was
it
younger,
over time.
when I was younger, when the prequels were coming out, so in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, at the end, Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul have that lightsaber. Spoiler alert: these movies have been out for years, but you know what?
It's your fault. You should
It's
spoil it.
your fault at this point, and you probably know it already. So it's Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn have that fight at the end. It may have. I don't know if my dad was part of it, but my dad was always really into martial arts, and I think he might have been part of it. And then there were 2 other guys that I knew that were part of it. They might have done the whole scene with Obi-Wan too, but they. So we had these bow staffs that we worked with, and then we had like bamboo swords, and they choreographed and acted out the entire end fight scene, and could do it this from memory with someone would use the bow staff and be Darth Maul, and then the other 2 would have bamboo swords, and
That's pretty
it
cool.
was awesome.
Fun fact: Darth Maul, the only person to ever kill Liam Neeson in a movie.
Really?
Yes, he is.
Wow.
Thanks.
That's pretty
Liam
awesome.
Neeson.
Favorite Jedi and favorite Sith.
I actually honestly don't like Star Wars that much now. So I'll just go Luke Skywalker and the guy with the 4 arms.
General Grievous. He
Grievous.
was not a Sith, but I'll take it.
Alright.
I would say
Palpatine.
I would say Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul, to be honest.
Oh,
That's
shoot.
why I like that first movie.
I forgot about Samuel L. Jackson.
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu with the purple lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'm sick of these.
They made like that whole elaborate backstory. My bad. They made that whole elaborate backstory for like lightsabers. Like there's like 1,000 lightsabers. Like there's like yellow and orange, but they're not in the movies.
Yeah.
He's the only one with the purple one in the movies because it has to do with like he was a good guy, and then when he was learning the ways of the Force, he moved to be a Sith, and then he came back, and that's why it's purple because
Like the happy medium
because it's a
between-
merge
yeah.
of blue and red.
So once you come back.
But like
I
in
agree.
actuality, he said he would only do the movies. He had
Yeah.
a purple lightsaber,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Mhm.
Um,
You get
well,
Samuel
so
L.
before I
Jackson?
get into my answer, in the Clone Wars series. You know, the animated series.
animated one.
I watched a lot of that at one point because I got bored on Netflix and we binge watch anything. They explained that they get the color of their lightsaber because when they're Padawan learners, one of their tests is that they go into this cave, and it's on this like frozen planet where when the sun comes up, the opening melts. It's like a waterfall, and you can get into the cave. But when the sun goes down, as the sun drops, it's so cold on the planet that the waterfall basically freezes along with the sun. So they have to get into the cave and out before the door closes. And in the cave is lightsaber crystals. But
they're called kyber crystals, correct?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, kyber crystals.
But not like the kyber crystals like only work for like specific people. Like they're like essentially everywhere, but it's like which one is yours, and like one will like speak to you and like call out to you with the force, and you have to like go through some challenge to like get to where it is and everything.
How out of your element do you feel right now, Shon?
Pretty out of it.
Okay, look, I'm the
I
like
didn't know.
We're just talking about crystals. So
I'm
it's
the like
interesting.
gamer, nerd, anime, geek kind of person. So when you get into this stuff, I know it. But
Yeah,
Continue, I want to know.
basically, the kyber crystals.
I don't have a favorite Sith, which is weird because I love the Sith, but I don't have a favorite. I don't like the characters that are in the movies now enough to call one of them my favorite.
Well, there's only been one movie.
There's been
I thought you
seven.
when you said that, I thought you meant like the new ones.
No.
Yeah.
Like, altogether, I don't think there's really a Sith that I can call my favorite. Like, I don't like any of those Sith just as characters. But I do, overall, in the Star Wars storyline, like the Sith because the Sith are always portrayed as, like, evil and everything. But if you go back and look at it, like, they always say, like, Anakin in the third movie, when he fights Obi-Wan, says, "From my point of view, the Jedi are evil." And if you
Yeah.
actually look at it, like, and look at their values, the only point where you get into like the Sith are evil is that they basically like torture and kill each other to advance. But beyond that, they're more just about like freedom.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
thinks they're the good guy. That's what it like boils down to in that kind of a thing.
Mm.
Between them, at least.
Yeah, I mean, like they're essentially for freedom, and the Jedi are more towards like strict rules and like certain code to live by. It's just that normally you associate freedom with compassion and strict rules with like punishment, and it's reversed. It's like freedom is with punishment and
Some philosophical stuff
strict
right
order
there.
is with
Yeah.
Yeah,
compassion.
there's
Yeah.
a really interesting deeper side of Star Wars that a lot of people don't understand or get into, and it comes with like knowing the knowledge of the books and everything. And now, of course, all the books that were before, like in Legends, aren't really
Canon.
true anymore because they're not considered to be canon. And now all these more secrets are found that are canon in the new animated series with Rebels and stuff like that, which I haven't gotten into or watched. But it's interesting to see what answers we will get in the upcoming movies with the continuation of this new trilogy and with Rogue One and the other standalone films.
Alright, so there's Star Wars, Walking Dead. That's another one I've been waiting.
It's coming.
We didn't talk about it
December
last. We
23rd,
didn't talk,
maybe.
we didn't talk about it the
23rd.
last time because Shon wasn't here.
Yes. All right. So predetermined spoiler alert. Right now, if you're watching, we're talking about The Walking Dead. If you're not caught up to the current season,
You're not caught up to the current.
Oh, I'm not caught up, but I'll still
No.
yeah,
You just said
Shon.
it.
Shon's going to avoid the comments.
Listen,
we're gonna
Mapes
talk-
killed off a major character in issue 158. Literally, like the second page
Yeah,
of
you
the
see?
panel, they just straight up slaughtered. Like literally, this dude tripped walking down the flight of steps. Some guy walks up to him, slices his stomach open, and then this herd of walkers just eat him alive.
Yeah, and I
you
saw.
just
And I saw
feel
the tweet.
bad for him.
And I saw the tweet. Thanks for
feel
that.
bad for him.
I didn't see the tweet, and now
I'm just gonna leave the
I'm
name
not-
nameless, but
Yeah.
I hope he's
but-
probably
so
in heaven.
We're gonna talk. Good one. We're gonna talk about the first 6 seasons going into the 7th.
Yes.
because they're going to start filming the 7th.
It's crazy to go back and watch the first episode.
Yeah, I
or
like
two,
going back.
like the
Oh,
first
yeah.
few seasons, and see how
Yeah,
crazy the evolution.
When The Walking Dead first came out, it was, I think it was around Halloween, and it was great because I thought those first few episodes were great because it was sort of a new thing. We didn't get that feeling of, we didn't see, these types of zombies before. We got them in like different movies and,
They're like more
older.
They're very like George Romero, like Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
kind of like,
you know,
they're not like the.
But we
ones that
never
run.
seen any type of real world atmosphere, a current atmosphere with these zombies that are so detailed,
That's like
and what that would be like.
That's what Robert Kirkman wanted whenever he made the comic book and eventually TV series, is to explore how you can have a 2.5-hour movie where at the end the people survive and they live happily ever after in the still zombie infested world of The Walking Dead. They're 3 or 4 years into the apocalypse and they're still out exploring. And ultimately you realize that it's not the zombies you have to fear, it's the people. That's exactly where we are.
That's the part of it that I loved, that I understood and not many people did.
Mhm.
Like, for example, people that hate the show and make fun of it, like make fun of the title, The Walking Dead, but it's like nobody understood.
Rick Grimes, we are the Walking
Nobody
Dead.
understood what that meant until he said that in the middle of the sixth season.
Was that the 6th or the 5th?
Wasn't it the 6th?
That was the 5th.
Man,
Yeah.
okay, nobody understood.
Because that was
that
before
season.
they got to Alexandria.
Well, yeah, it was when Aaron came. But
it was like the episode before he walked up to them. Yeah.
We are the Walking
yeah,
Dead.
no, you're right.
Yeah,
they were in the
They
barn.
were trapped in the barn.
Yeah.
And the tornado came by.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think died at the end of the sixth?
Daryl. And Shon hates me because he thinks I'm right.
I don't know. It's tough. I was reading something the other day, 'cause I read
was
all
it a
these
comic?
articles
Okay, good.
about speculations on why so and so lives and why so and so dies. I thought it was Abraham, but then in one of the trailers for the season, there's a brief moment where you see some guy with red hair and a mustache on the ground holding off a zombie, and it looks like Abraham. So he might actually be surviving.
I don't know if I would trust the trailer.
Oh yeah, that's what I
Because-
was saying. It's like, well,
Yeah.
why would
Well,
they?
the trailers
they
for last year, there were scenes that had nothing to do with season
They-
6 at all.
Oh
They
yeah,
had-
they're trying to keep it secret.
Who was the guy that was at Terminus? I forget his name now.
Shoot, I know you're saying.
The main guy.
Terminus?
Yeah, the main guy.
Shoot.
He was the head of the cannibal people, and he
I don't.
after his group broke
See,
out.
I want
Sean
to
will look it
say
up.
Aaron, but
No,
I know it's not.
Gareth.
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 Yeah, Gareth.
They had in the trailer, halfway through the trailer, it was them breaking out of Terminus or whatever, and then they have Gareth say, "We're going to go to Washington D.C. and solve this thing," so that people actually thought, because we didn't know yet that the Eugene didn't actually know how it started. We didn't know he didn't know what the cure was.
Yeah.
So
Which-
that completely changed the rest of the season.
Yeah, and for me, I prefer to have kind of an ending point where people try to get to. My one little beef with The Walking Dead was that it seems like it never really ends, which is okay. I mean, I'm fine with having it continue on for many seasons. But I was satisfied when they're like, okay, they're going to get to Washington D.C. They're going to find a cure to be this really good ending. But when I found out that it didn't really happen,
It's a trap. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, oh, okay, great. Now they're going to do this for more.
Yeah.
Now,
Well-
because it seems like they get to a location, they settle down, it blows up, it settles down, and the thing blows up.
But I think that's
It's
the point.
very
because
repetitive.
Well, that is because Robert Kirk. Because another thing.
So many
about it.
times they're safe.
Yeah, you're never
Alexandria,
really safe.
they had this bastion.
They were at
of
the barn for
community.
a while. They were at the prison for a while.
And even the prison was safe. I'm sure there was that infectious disease, but that didn't really destroy them. And then the governor came in, broke down the fence, and then zombies flooded in, and it was over. And then the Alexandria was safer than the prison, and then someone came in and knocked over a wall.
Yep. They're
And-
rebuilding.
That's the thing that another thing that Robert Kirkman said is he wanted to separate it into two parts, and you probably know this, is that he wanted it to be two parts. The first, what it looks like, the first 6 seasons were them struggling those first 3 or 4 years to survive in the wild in a zombie apocalypse and gather supplies and be able to survive on the run. And now these, however long the rest of the series is going to be them. The world tries to regain order and establish settlements
Yeah,
and
it's
rebuild
The
society.
tagline for this season is a brand new world or something like
Yeah,
that.
so that now that we have what are they? Negan.
The
Negan.
Saviors.
They have the Saviors, and then we have the group that Carol and Morgan are with now.
The Kingdom.
And we have all of these people.
You have the Alexandria Safe Zone, you have the Kingdom, you have the Hilltop Colony.
So we have all the civilizations that actually were able to maintain outside of, other ones that didn't. Like Rick's prison failed. The barn, you could have considered one, it failed.
Terminus failed.
Terminus failed.
Yeah, I mean,
And now these are the ones that actually succeeded.
The governor's place.
in the comic series
Woodbury.
right now.
Woodbury.
Funny, I live in West Deptford, New Jersey. The town next to me is Woodbury, and it scared the ever-living crap out of me when we watched the show and the trailer was like, "Welcome to Woodbury." I'm like,
Yikes.
that's right next to me.
So back to who you think died. I think it's Daryl.
Yeah.
And I have some out of TV show theories. First TV show theories. He's like, he had just been shot. He's really injured. His whole life is crashing apart. Like he's not in a good place to begin with. Like he's almost to the point where like it almost seems like he's gonna die whether or not Negan hit him over the head.
They set it up so that majority of the characters are that way though.
Yeah, well,
I know.
So my big reason for thinking why it's Daryl, the season 6 final episode opened up with it being shown from the first person point of view, where that dude was like literally just chilling in the trailer. We don't know who it is, but like he's just like kind of trapped into the first person point of view, and it ends in the first person point of view. With the baseball bat, so it has to be somebody who was in that trailer. So it's either Daryl, Michonne,
and then we had interaction on Twitter a couple weeks ago.
I'm sorry. What
I think it's Daryl, Michonne, whoever that third person was that was captured by Negan. Because like, if
Wasn't
you think
that Abraham?
That's actually a really good point. I never thought.
I don't think it is.
No,
Abraham.
it wasn't.
But like, if it was shot. The opening scene was in the first person point of view, somebody breathing or something, and they're like in this trailer looking thing. And then it ends.
We had a big discussion about this one day at the Mosh Pit, our radio show, and we didn't even consider that.
That's a good
point.
So that's the reason why I think
there was a trailer that you added me, and you were like upset because it pointed something at like Daryl's dead. Yeah. I think it was someone else had his jacket on.
Yeah, the white guy has Daryl's jacket on. He has Daryl's bike, so it looks like.
Yeah.
And in the comics, Dwight is a character who wields a bow or a crossbow, rides bikes, and he eventually becomes a good guy.
Yeah,
so
and
eventually
Daryl isn't even in the comics, correct?
So Daryl's always a wild card.
Yeah. And on top of that, so going into what they're doing outside of The Walking Dead, Norman Reedus is Daryl's actor, and he has his own new show on AMC.
Again.
On top of that, at E3 this year, the big gaming conference where gaming companies reveal all the new games, he was revealed to be the main character in the new Death Stranding game.
I know that TV show. I thought about it. I, for a brief moment, contemplated that, but it's like a 1-season show, and it's just like 4 episodes of him just like chilling. It's called Ride. It's just him chilling on motorcycles. Like I don't like.
But now he's also in this video game.
Listen,
that's another thing.
Listen, I'm just amazed that we're like 5-6 months after that season final or whatever, and they haven't leaked who died yet. That amazes me. So
that's the best part.
That's because no one actually knows.
Because the actors didn't know when they read it, but we so rarely have that anymore. Like when you went to go, to bring this full circle, when you went to see Star Wars Episode 5, no one knew. It had leaked that people, well, it didn't leak, but when they originally wrote the script and they had all those people filming that scene, they had the person that was in the Darth Vader suit say, Luke, Ben Kenobi is your father. Because they didn't want people to actually know that Darth Vader was his father. So that later it was like Mark Hamill, James Earl Jones, and George Lucas were the only 3 people that recorded that line. And they were the only 3 people in the world that knew that.
Okay.
And like we so rarely have that happen anymore. And right now that happens with The Walking Dead.
Yeah. And because they did it so well. Because I think the earlier dumpster scene with Glenn, because at this point, I think, spoiler alert, everyone after that dumpster scene heard about the comics that Glenn dies, but that's not the way that he dies. The dumpster scene wasn't the way that he died. I can't understand why you would have that whole scene where Glenn was gone for almost the entire season just to kill him.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's why I don't think they killed him here either.
Which is why I
It'd be
don't
too
think
easy.
it's...
I could see
Yeah.
him killing Maggie.
That's what I
Maggie,
think.
they
I think
cut her
Maggie.
hair, which she didn't do until after Glenn died in the comics, because she cut her hair as like to pay homage to Glenn, because Glenn has hair like that length, and that in Glenn's death kind of like defined her role as a single mother.
She's kind of like miscarriaging right now too.
Yeah, and she's like having like real bad issues with the baby and everything. Like they were trying to get to Hilltop to the doctor, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Doctor, of course.
Someone brought up the fact that what if the baby is, if it like died?
Stop.
And
Stop.
it's
Stop.
like-
Stop.
Oh,
And it
yeah,
reanimates inside
and
her.
it's a zombie.
Stop.
yeah. That's not something I want to think about.
That's a possibility.
It is.
I would hate
Then that
it
kills two people.
I would hate it if this season they don't reveal in the first episode who Negan kills, and they wait till like the mid-season final or something.
What I can see them doing is them not being there.
It's like there's so many.
I can see them just jumping ahead like a week in the future and everyone is still rattled. And you're like looking at like, all right, Daryl's walking down the street, Rick is like sitting on the bench, and you're just looking over to see who's gone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
there's
like make
You
mention
know,
of it.
here's who you know it isn't. You know it's not Rick.
You know, it's not Carl's the
And-
only confirmed person because he says if he moves, cut
Yeah,
the
and
boy's
you know
eye
it's
out,
not
feed it to
Carl.
his father.
I feel like it's
Because
definitely
it-
not Aaron either, which is insignificant because who would care?
Yeah.
From the like
He hasn't
audience
been
perspective.
in the show.
From the audience
I agree.
perspective, not from like people on the show.
And
who would care.
they did. I think they did tell the cast, and the cast was furious
Well, yeah.
with the
I think
decision.
They'd be mad whoever.
Well,
Um,
I could see him killing two people because like I could see them going to kill Glenn or going to kill Maggie, and then Abraham stepping up, trying to prevent the death, and then them killing Abraham, and then possibly killing another person because no one sees two deaths coming; they know one's coming, but happening.
Yeah, so we'll assume it's one. I think it's between Daryl, Glenn, and Maggie. Glenn to continue with the comics, even though I think it would be a poor decision after the decisions they made with making the previous season. Maggie because they've
Needs to be
put her in a
savage.
position where it would make sense, and it would also be a nice twist to say we're not the comic. And then Daryl because he like non-TV stuff. He's just like it seems like he's doing other things with his life now, and it just makes
Well, I
sense.
will
Robert Kirkman's all for them changing the
Yeah,
TV show.
he uses that as a way to
Yeah.
correct the mistakes he made in the.
Because in issue like 37 of the comics, yes, the governor, like 32 actually, the governor cuts off Rick's right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Rick still has his hand.
Rick still
Yeah.
has his hand. So in the comic or a TV show, they kind of did that with Daryl. So,
I'm gonna say Maggie.
or Merle, excuse me.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
I'm gonna say
Seasons.
Maggie, Abraham, Sasha.
Sasha's not vital enough, I feel. If they
You know,
kill Sasha, I'll
if
take
Sasha's dead, Abraham's dead.
it. Yeah, I can see them trying to. They're gonna kill Sasha, and then Abraham speaks up forever,
Yeah. No, that'd work.
and they just both get the bat.
Lucille.
Yeah,
That's it.
Lucille. Yeah. Which fun fact, Lucille is actually named after Negan's wife, who had cancer pre-apocalypse. So,
I did not know that.
yeah,
Right.
Negan's still.
Do you not watch
alive.
The Walking Dead, Brennan?
I watched every episode up until I think halfway through the 5th season, and I just for whatever reason I don't really know why I just kind of stopped. I think it was shortly after when they were going to go to Washington D.C. and then what's his face Eugene said, "Oh yeah, I don't have a cure," and they beat him up a little bit, and then they end up going somewhere else. So it's a
So,
little
like you said,
fuzzy
they
right now.
lost their goal, and you lost interest.
Pretty much. I just didn't
I
feel
believe
the
it.
need to
Yeah.
continue watching it because it just felt repetitive to me.
No, in the
I
moment
understand.
it felt pointless. I'll agree.
Yeah.
I do think they draw out a lot.
They
Like-
really do. That was
like
another.
the dumpster
It's the
scene.
voice of the Dragon Ball Z
The
series.
dumpster scene was so drawn out,
Mhm.
and yes, that was a big deal. But
Do you mean they drew it out by not revealing?
they
that
drew
he was
out one
alive?
scene over an entire season.
Oh, well, yeah. No, that makes sense.
And like when the season where so at the end of the mid-season, the governor took down the prison,
Yeah.
and then the next half season
What's my good term?
was all of them just getting terms, and each it was like honestly the only reason that took a whole season was because you had like six
Yeah,
different
subplots.
groups that all had this different, like one thing happened to them, but you had to have a whole episode happen to them, and then they're on the road to tournament.
Well, that's like
and then a whole episode happened, and then they're on the road.
That kind of annoys me, but I like the idea.
This season, I feel like they're going to do that same thing because they might not come back directly with Negan or hitting somebody. Because you have a subplot with whatever's going on back in Alexandria. You have a subplot with Carol and Morgan. You have multiple subplots going on at once where they might not directly do anything.
I feel like it will highly upset people if they don't come right back to it.
Oh, I agree.
That's like, this is the biggest event of The Walking Dead thus far, if you ask me. And I think that if you delay it, people are just going to get mad at you. Like,
So Negan says the F word a lot in the comic books.
Oh,
So
yes.
with the TV edited version, they had to obviously censor it a lot. But they released with the Blu-ray DVD discs of season 6 the alternate ending where, oh yeah, just walk on in, Ian. We're live.
Yeah, just walk on in.
It's alright. Just walk away. No, you gotta come in so people don't
Yeah,
think
Ian,
we're just
come in.
talking.
Yeah, come on
Come in.
yeah, come stand behind Brennen and Shon.
So,
Yeah.
what I was getting
I-
to, so they have a 10-minute alternate ending where Negan uses all the F words and he goes off and it adds to it because that's who his character is in the comics. He drops like
I didn't know that.
F-ity F this, F-ity F. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, this wonderful man behind me is Ian Barclay. He's one of our producers for a show this year called The Buzz. So
I was
show,
formerly
yes.
on. Great show.
Oh yeah, great show, awesome stuff. And he needs one of our tripods that one of these cameras are mounted on. So you might just go with
To
that.
go cover a coffee
All
house.
No, he'll be alright. We'll be finished up here soon.
Yeah.
So, Ian, if you want to let us wrap up here,
Yep.
we'll
Oh, yes.
be done for you. But
Yeah.
that was Ian, our first ever guest on the podcast.
Just walking in.
We had a guest, guys. This was a huge deal.
You know who else has really
Yeah.
huge deals? Walmart. Save money, live better, Walmart.
We are not sponsored by anyone. We don't
We're
even
just trying
get
to.
monetization
Yeah.
from this.
It's like Flaming Hot Cheetos, they'd be a cool sponsor.
All right. Well, I say that was a successful second podcast.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the iPhone 7, but we'll save that for next week.
Yeah, we can save it for next
Yeah,
time.
cool.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on our second WCTV Executive Staff Vodcast. We'll see you next week. Bye. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to our second WCTV Executive Staff Vodcast. Remember, you can click right below to subscribe to the channel, or you can check us out on Twitter right there at WCTV Waynesburg. Thanks.